quorums? There being a quorum present, I call this meeting of the Margate City Planning Board to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom Collins.
Here.
Clem Wesleski.
Here.
Mike Richmond.
Here.
Jim Galantino.
Here.
Brenda Taube. Margaret Gubernalty. Mike Cristaldi.
Here.
Craig Palmisano.
Here.
David Carter.
Here.
Despina Hess.
Here.
Remy Pelosi.
Here.
Joe DiGirolamo. Rich Patterson.
Here. This meeting is being held in accordance with due public notice thereof and pursuant to the New Jersey State Sunshine Law. Notice of this meeting was advertised in the press, and a copy of same has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. All applicants are hereby advised that should you receive board approval tonight, you must come forward and sign a form which informs you regarding the timing of receiving building permits and mercantile licenses. At the end of your case tonight, please see the board administrator to sign the two information sheets. I'd like to hear a motion for the approval of the minutes of August 28, 2014. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to hear a motion for the approval of the resolutions and decisions. Number 39, 2014, Dominic and Tammy Pastor. Number 40, 2014, Stan and Nancy Metter.
Make a motion. I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. First case is Lucy Zhang, 9400 Ventnor Avenue, Block 128, Lot 83, in the CBD District to grant a site plan action. Taxes are current and proof of advertising and notifying is satisfied. Mr. Rubin?
Roger Rubin. Yes, I do. The subject property is a two-story building containing about 800 square feet of commercial space on the first floor front and two condominium residences in the rear and second floor, a one-bedroom and a two-bedroom apartment. The overall parcel on the corner of Ventnor and Adams Avenue is 45 by 65 feet or 2,925 square feet. The subject of this application is the commercial area, which was previously and for many years a series of real estate offices, which has been vacant now for a while. Within this space, the applicant wishes to operate a massage salon consisting of 3 treatment rooms and a reception waiting room in front per the submitted floor plan. The only internal change will be partitions and electrical other than cosmetics such as painting, carpeting, etc. Ms. Zhang has submitted a copy of her state of New Jersey license as a massage and bodywork therapist. The business plan submitted includes services such as full body massage, reflexology, and facials, and products such as moisturizers and skin conditioners. Hours of operation will be 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. throughout the year. Action required, site plan action per ordinance at section 175-14, which specifies site plan action for all actions that qualify as change in use. The staff committee determines if a proposed new commercial activity is in fact a change in use, and if so, forwards it to the planning board, which is the case herein. Real estate office use, changing to massage therapy business, should be acted upon based on the board's determination of suitability of the site and land use intensity. While there is no change to the site proposed, the board may consider whether the site as it lays out makes sense in terms of access, parking on or off the street, signage, and other factors. It is legally difficult to deny such an application, but an approval with conditions or without can be rendered. Considerations for action. Number 1, the use is permitted in this zone district as a permitted retail service. Number 2, there are 2 off-street parking spaces accessed at Ventnor Avenue and what looks like 5 spaces accessed via Adams Avenue. This is the correct number of spaces for the 2 units plus the massage therapy business. No variances would be required. The applicant should advise the board as to how the spaces will be shared between the business and the residences. The board may also be interested in how the various large display windows will be treated, decorated, and/or covered. And finally, if approved, a condition should be that signage will comply with ordinance limitations, and plans should be submitted to the zoning officer for approval and possible building permits before any signs may be affixed. No additional conditions are suggested at this time. Mr. Sklar.
Good evening. My name is Arthur Sklar. I'm with the firm of Levin Stoller in Atlantic City. This is my client, Jiali Zhang, also known as Lucy. And I think Roger pretty much set out in his report what I wish to point out. I wish to point out to the board. There were a couple things that Roger had raised, and there was a meeting yesterday with him. One dealt with window treatment, and there will be window treatment that will deflect the sun in the afternoon. And as far as signage, there will be a sign, but it will comply in all respects with the Margate sign ordinance. And it will be submitted, obviously, first. There is projected at this time to be 3 certified employees and plus 1 receptionist and counter person. Today, I spoke with the owner, and there will be some use of the parking spaces along Adams Avenue, particularly in the off-season, but maybe even during the season. But that remains to be worked out because I just spoke to them this afternoon. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Yes.
Are you going to do anything to the exterior of the building at all?
No.
No? Okay.
You know what the wording on the signage is going to be?
Beg your pardon?
The wording on the signage?
I do not know what that will be at this time.
We have any jurisdiction over that, Roger?
Could Lucy give us an idea of what your sign is going to say? What's the name of the business?
Your name?
My name is Jolly Zhang.
Whatever that thing is.
The question was, what is the name of the business, if you have one?
Imperial Massage.
What is it?
Imperial.
Imperial Massage?
That's what the sign will say, Imperial Massage.
Imperial Salon.
Imperial Salon.
Salon.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question. How many days a week are you open?
Right now, the plan is to be open 7 days a week.
The questions I have for you, Ms. Sklar, is the original construction on the building wasn't completed. Just want to make sure it gets done with approvals and inspections.
I'm sorry, I did not understand.
The original construction was never finalized out. The guy who did the original, there was a store going in here that never finished all the permit inspections. We want to make sure they're completed.
I assume that that will be done.
Okay, just make sure you tell your client and the owner. Thank you.
I did just have a few other questions about the signage. If you, just looking at the pictures that you submitted and just from a site visit, you can clearly see from looking out of all of the large windows that there's residential homes within eyesight. Do you have anything you can expand on as far as how you expect to use those? You indicated there's going to be some sun protection in the afternoon, but as far as signs, any other displays, advertisements, do Do you know what materials you're going to be using? Neon lights? Is it going to be posted cloth signs? Any other information you can give us? Thank you.
Not right now.
Can we make that contingent that there's no neon signs?
Yes. Yeah.
Does that everybody agree with?
Neon signs are not prohibited. Flashing signs, twinkling signs, moving signs are prohibited, but neon as such is not prohibited.
Okay.
So you could make that condition if the applicant has no problem. Do you understand that the board is saying they would prefer, because of the location, that there not be neon signage in the windows? Do you have any problem with that, with accepting a condition that you may not have that?
This is the contractor, and let me get it. What I'm advised is that there are other commercial properties that have small neon signs. It certainly won't be anything that will be outlandish and will certainly be in accordance with, whatever the requirements are of the Margate zoning ordinance.
I think what he's referring to are open signs, little neon, little 1 foot square open signs. But other than that, can Lucy accept a condition? No neon signs except for open?
Yes.
Okay. Is that okay?
That's exactly what I was referring to. If you go down that strip, you'll see with the Hot Bagels, all the other businesses, it's generally just one small sign that's being used. Thank you.
It doesn't have to be. I just wanted to know if she would accept
Do you have anything else?
I do not.
Is there anyone here from the public who would like to comment? Public portion is closed. Any other questions from the board? Stan, would you read the motion?
Essentially, as Roger's memo indicated, the motion would be for approval, minor site plan approval because of the change of use from, I believe, a real estate office to a, looks like a body work facility, I'll call it. So it would be a motion in the affirmative for site plan approval.
Stan? Is this a yes or no vote?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve this application.
I'll second.
Tom Collins,
I vote yes.
Glenn Wozleski,
I also vote yes.
Mike Richmond,
Yes.
Jim Galantino,
Vote yes.
Mike Cristaldi,
I vote yes.
Craig Palmisano,
I vote yes.
David Carter,
I vote yes.
Despina Hess,
With the conditions we spoke of, I also would vote yes.
Rich Patterson.
Seeing that it meets all the site plan requirements, I vote yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you very much.
Don't forget to sign something.
Arthur? You have to sign it for me.
Next case, David and Terry Davich, 103 South Barclay, Block 2.01, Lot 2 in the S30 district for a C variance for third floor area, roof pitch, and possibly others. Taxes are current and proof of advertising and notifying is satisfied. Mr. Rubin?
Roger Rubin? I do. The subject property is a 3-story single-family house with 4 bedrooms on a lot of 50 by 62 and a half, or 3,125 square feet. The house has a front porch at the first floor and decks above at the second, excuse me, I turned it off, and decks above at the second and third floor levels. Per the submitted plans by CBA Architects, the applicants wish to enlarge the third level to accommodate 2 bedrooms in the rear and a family room in the front which replaces an existing bedroom. It is a net addition of 1 bedroom for a total of 5. Parking is sufficient in the existing driveway. In order to accomplish this, the floor area of the third floor is increased to exceed ordinance limitation, and a new roof is proposed in the rear portion, which is flatter than the required roof pitch. The variances required are third floor area. Per the land use ordinance changes introduced in 2004, third floor habitable area with a head height of 5 feet or greater is limited to 50% of the second floor total floor area. Presently, the third floor area with said head height is 787 square feet, which is 68.5% of the second floor area of 1,148 square feet. As proposed, the third floor area with said head height would be increased to 1,094 square feet, or 95% of the second floor. Roof pitch. The minimum roof pitch is 5 on 12, and the proposed plan is 1 on 12, which can be seen on the elevation drawings. Comments. The rear addition meets the rear and side setbacks and height limitations. There is no increase in the footprint, so the building coverage is not an issue. The board, via its site visits, may consider the aesthetics of the flat rear roof and the larger, higher sheer wall created by the additional third floor habitable space, as seen from various vantage points, such as from down the block or from homes to the sides and rear. Does the house have a boxier presentation due to these variances than is intended by the zoning code and master plan? There were numerous public hearings in 2002 and 2003 which led to the 2004 master plan, and among the issues of concern to the public participants per page 1 of the master plan were, quote, too much bulk in new residential development, unquote, and, quote, homes are too boxy, unquote. These concerns led directly to the 2 requirements that are the subject of variance application in this case: a limit on floor area on the third level and a minimum roof pitch. Number 4, in the land use plan chapter of that master plan, which still remains in effect, there were 8 principles given on page 53 and 54 with respect to revisions from the existing rules at the time to single-family zones. The first principle put forth is, quote, regulation of the number of stories. At present, Margate's land development ordinance does not restrict the maximum number of stories. This theoretically permits 3 or more story residences depending upon the location within the city. In order to address the master plan issue of overdevelopment and excessive bulk, I added the underlining, it is recommended by this master plan that a 2.5-story limitation be added. The half-story limitation should include a standard that states, quote, that portion of the uppermost story with a floor-to-ceiling height of 5 feet or more should not exceed 50% of legally permitted lower floor. A minimum roof pitch of 5 on 12 should be required, end of quote from the 2004 master plan. And finally, number 5, that paragraph, again, is from the master plan, and this was reflected in the land use ordinance in Chapter 175 and Schedule B1, which you all have copies of. So the question for the board to ponder here is, are the arguments that the variance is in the rear or that there is an oversized rear setback enough to allow a deviation from the basic tenet of the master plan, which was developed a decade ago in reflection of the demands of the populace for less bulk and less boxy residences? Respect for the foundation purposes and intent of the zoning need to be balanced against the homeowner's need for an extra bedroom in a fairly large house, noting again that the third floor already exceeds the 50%. Perhaps there are alternatives available by a fresh architectural look at the existing house and the family's needs and desires. No conditions are suggested at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. My name is Chris Bayless, and I represent David and Terry Davitt, who are here with us this evening with respect to their property at 103 South Barclay Avenue. It's one off the corner on the Atlantic City side of the street. As Roger pointed out, this is a request to exceed the third floor area that we have been dealing with since about 2004. I typically would not bring a case like this before you because I certainly understand the reasons for the ordinance and the change brought about by the revision to the master plan. The house that we're dealing with, though, is a little bit different in that regard. I mean, this house, it is what it is. That's not going to change. What is proposed is simply elevating the roof line in the rear to accommodate, the space is already there, but it's an equal wall below the 5-foot construction code. It's just lifting that to provide an extra bedroom rather than the Davidges moving, taking this house down and building a new one. It's probably the least intrusive way to accomplish what they are looking to do. A house with an addition that really is not going to be seen from the street. Granted, it will be seen from Argyle Avenue, but it will not be seen from Barclay Avenue. For all intents and purposes, the appearance of Barclay Avenue will not change. Thus being the reason that I thought it might be an option to bring this before the board to get the board to that. Let me introduce Christina, who did the plan, and can talk to you a little bit about how this is going to work. Christina, you're a licensed architect in New Jersey, and prepared the plans that the board has reviewed.
I did.
You can just walk the board through the conversation with the Davidges and
Please take the microphone with you.
how you intend to accomplish their need for more space, desire for more space.
Okay. This project came about because the Davidge, they are committed to keep their families together. And they need more space. And on the other hand, this house is very unique. It's not your standard house. It's an older house. It has a flat roof at the front. It has all these decorative elements. It has curves here. It's very interesting house. And in my opinion, is not what you see every day. The project is on the 3rd floor, which is this part. There is an existing bedroom that is going to be converted into a den. This is over here. And at the rear, there is a storage space that they're going to lift the roof to make it into 2 bedrooms.
And that storage space is back here, as we said, which is
this element. As Roger mentioned in here, it's so clear, I'm just going to refer to the memorandum that the backyard is 8 feet larger than what is required. We are about 20 feet, and is required only 12. So we have a big yard, which they use it during the summer, and it's really beautiful.
And Christina, you've designed the addition such that it does meet the side yard setbacks?
Yes. Show a second. Just a second. All right. That we propose at the rear. It's like a dormer with a slope 1 to 12. It's less slope, less steep than they require 5 to 12, but it's a 1 to 12 slope. And because the side walls are not continuous, we are interrupting the side walls. We are pushing back the dormer to provide the required side yards, and also to avoid to having a high wall. So what you're going to see is the existing walls, these existing walls on this side and that on here, because we are pushing back the addition to avoid creating all these high walls that is not desirable.
So there will be a break in the face of the wall, both on the sides and in the rear?
That's correct. On this side, it will be like 3 feet back in from the building, and on this side, about 12 inches also back. So this is what you are going to see. On the first plane, it will be like that, interrupted the dormer back.
Now, Christina, that space exists, right? That's Eve's space, so to speak, your storage space.
It exists, and at the center is, you can stand up. It's about almost 8 feet at this area, and they use it as a storage. And once you go down, it has a knee wall, and that's the reason we don't have enough space to make the bedrooms.
What will the ceiling height be in that area should the board approve this and it gets built?
It will have a slope, 1 to 12, but at the very rear where we have the windows is about 6 feet 6. So it's not your full, it will be 6'6", enough to have the egress windows that we require.
Thank you. Any questions for Christina while she's up? Because I want to have Ms. Davish come up. Nothing?
Go ahead.
Mike? Larry?
Terry Dalrich.
Terry and David, you guys explained to me why you were going through with trying to obtain this approval for your existing home rather than next door. If you explain to the board the thought process and that result, I think that would be helpful.
Oh, sorry. Our house is very unique, and with the curves and the straightness, it just stands out a lot differently than most houses, I think, in Margate. We have a beautiful street. I would hate to tear it down, plus, I'll be honest, I can lay in bed at night and look out into the ocean. But my son got married this last summer, and my other son's very involved. So I'm hoping to have grandchildren in the near future, and the 2 bedrooms that exist on the second floor with us are quite small. Yes, can we put all the grandchildren upstairs in one room together? It's not my ideal situation. We have the room in the back. It's not going to disturb anybody. I actually went to all my neighbors before the summer was over, and I have all the existing neighbors' signatures. I showed them the plans, and they even signed alongside the back of the plans. I have their phone numbers, email addresses, and everything. I have...
Terry, why this house? Why not start over? Why not move? I mean, how long have you
been here? Over about 12 years, and...
How long has the house been?
Oh, well, it's been there a long time. The original owners redid it and made it beautiful. It was all closed in, all the round balconies. They opened it up and made it very airy looking. They put the beautiful siding on it and changed all the windows to good Pella windows. We have already redone the bathrooms to update it to make it more current inside.
One way or another, whether this is approved or not, just don't take this the wrong way. You will seek a house with more space.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, my children are my everything, so
Well,
I'm having to get them.
we've had some changes in our life, and we've downsized our home in Philadelphia. We've moved out of a bigger home to a small condo in Philadelphia. As such, our plan is to spend more time down here with our family, which creates a necessity for a larger living space for us, quite frankly. And as Terry indicated, we do have an extended family, and it's likely to be further extended in the near future. And we've absolutely have done our best to create a plan that's respectful to the master plan. At the same time, it doesn't jeopardize the integrity of the house, which we think is unusual, and we certainly, again, respect the nature of the land use plan with respect to bulkiness and boxiness, and we'd like to think what we've created here is not that. And I can assure you that in addition to that, it doesn't in any way affect our neighbors negatively at all. And certainly not intrusive to our neighbors. I think it's a unique house that people like, and I think this is certainly the best choice for us. Again, we've absolutely respected the nature of what you want to do here in Margate, and additionally, we purposely didn't touch the front of the house as a result of that as well. So that's why we want to be here. We want to be here longer, spend more time here. We need more space. Quite frankly, we love where we're at, and we don't want to do anything bigger or greater than what we're doing here.
That's all the testimony I have. I mean, I certainly understand and think that what happened in 2004 with respect to half, third floor worked. This house was there before that. I know you're going to say you don't want to exacerbate something that's already boxy, but I think under these unique circumstances, it's something that is not an unreasonable request in light of what we have there now. And it's been there for, I don't know, at least 20 years. Across the street, down the street. That's why I thought bringing this before the board was not terribly unreasonable. It's something to make consider. That's all the testimony I have. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment? Public portion is closed. I think this one's simple. Is there any conditions?
I have no conditions.
I would like to hear a motion as submitted.
I'll second.
It's Tom and Jim.
Tom Collins?
Unfortunately, the negatives in this case to me really heavily outweigh the positives in terms of this particular property. It's a nice sized lot, it's in a nice neighborhood. Making it more obtruse or whatever you want to call it, I just don't think that that's the highest and best use here. You look, the landscaping is low, almost everything's concrete, there's no pervious surfaces. Trying to keep patching on is not good for a neighborhood when we're trying to rejuvenate and keep Margate a fresh place. So I have to vote against this. I think a tear down and a redesign and something more suitable towards what our code is would be much more appropriate in this case.
Clem Wozleski?
Well, I appreciate that the applicant would like more space in the house, but this application proposes two things that we specifically crafted our ordinance to prohibit it. Larger third floors and low or essentially flat roofs. I don't know of anything in the existing regulations that gives justification for granting these variances. I vote no.
Mike Richmond?
I don't have a problem with the roof pitch. It's a modern house, and, you know, I think that some houses lend themselves to a flatter roof. But that being said, I do think that the land use ordinance that we adopted and have been following for a number of years has served the city well. And I don't think it would benefit the public good to deviate from that. I mean, I can see, yeah, maybe small deviations, but a 45% deviation, I think, is just too much. So I'm going to vote no.
Jim Galantino?
The home meets the flood requirement. I hate to say that, but it does. It's at 11 foot. I mean, it's fully compliant that way. So that's one of the positives we got in this whole house. As to the ground cover, that's just concrete's been there for a number of years. I don't know how many years it was done with concrete. It was prior to the people moving in for vegetative cover. But that's not in front of us, the coverage issue. As to the 5-foot headroom, if anybody tried to stand in an attic and try to walk up to a wall with a 5-foot headroom, you immediately hit you would hit the the rafter or whatever, the ceiling, which is kind of crazy. If you look at the way we have it, it should be really 7 foot and not 5. But we can revisit that at another point because you can't walk into a wall. Being that said, I've had a problem with the third floor deck for a number of years. I think that we need to revisit our ordinance to allow third floor decks on beach block properties and not just beachfront properties. We talked about that for a number of years. As to that, I don't see the positive outweighing the negative, so at this point, I'm going to vote no.
Mike Cristaldi.
I think we're getting a little boxy in town, and I think we need to tighten up on some of our ordinances. I think this is really pushing the envelope here. I vote no.
Craig Palmisano.
I have to agree with the other board members' comments of the bulkiness and the boxiness of it all, and the exceeding of the square footage of the third floor. I have to vote no also.
David Carter.
In reviewing the master plan and everything that we're, doing here and making the changes, I vote no.
Despina Hess.
Essentially, I'll keep it short. I'm going to refer largely to the reasons stated by Mr. Reynolds I'm going to focus largely on the reasons that have already been stated by Mr. Reynolds. I tend to believe that we, as a board, have to uphold the intent of the master plan and to ensure that we satisfy the prongs that have been established that we need to apply. Personally, I certainly feel for the family. I'd want to, but I don't believe that we have enough to vote yes, so I'm going to have to vote no.
Rich Patterson.
Well, I have to agree with Mr. Richmond. And the point that the applicants made, that it's in the back of the house, and I think the flatter roof in the back of the house really doesn't make that much difference, but I see an egregious pushing the envelope on the expansion of the third floor. The intent of the master plan is 50%. They're welcome to have something bigger than that was grandfathered in, but to expand it, I vote no.
For your consideration.
The motion goes down 0-9.
Next case is Dr. Andrew and Donna Marie Barrett, 108 South Knight Avenue, Block 11.02, Lot 12, in the S30 District, to grant a C variance for a third floor deck. Taxes are current and proof of advertising and notifying is satisfied.
Roger Rubin. Yes, I do. The subject property is a 2.5-story single-family house under construction on a lot of 50 by 62 and a half, or 3125 square feet. The house, containing 5 bedrooms and 3 off-street parking spaces, was approved per zoning, and building permits were issued as being in compliance with all aspects of zoning. Per the Mark Zawacki architect plan submitted with the application, a third floor deck is now proposed at the left front of the house, off of bedroom number 4, measuring 6 feet 5 inches by 9 feet 11 inches, but total square footage is smaller as it is L-shaped. The deck is designed within the roof with a low rail over a parapet wall. The variance required is third floor deck on a property that is not beachfront or bayfront. Comments. As always, the board will determine if the benefits outweigh the detriments and if the purposes and intent of the zoning code are respected. 2, as such, consider matters of privacy, noise, and aesthetics. 3, also take into consideration the neighborhood pattern. There are 11 houses on both sides of the street, and I believe only one third level deck at 109 South, which was granted by variance of this board about a year ago. 4, the proposed deck size and situation off of this particular bedroom location may be a factor in terms of potential extent of usage. No conditions are recommended at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Members of the board, my name is Chris Valence, and I represent Donna and Andy Barrett, who are here this evening with respect to their property at 108 South Knight, Lot 12 and Block 11.02 on the Longport side of the street on Knight Avenue. Roger pretty much spelled out the application clearly. It's a small third-floor deck recessed within the roof line of the second-floor deck roof, designed solely really to capture views of the ocean from that corner of the house and to not be intrusive, which is the purpose of that rule, not to be intrusive to any of the neighbors in terms of privacy or noise. It's about 50 square feet. There is a similar deck right across the street on the corner that was recently approved. And we think with these third-floor decks on the beach block in the right location and properly designed into the house, that it really adds a nice design element and nice living feature. Mark Zawacki designed the plan. He can talk to you briefly about the design, and then we'll wrap up.
Mark Zawacki. Yes, I do.
Mark, you're a licensed architect?
Yes, I am.
And prepared the plan that the board is considering?
Yes, I did.
Just walk us through it briefly.
Okay. If you all know, the house is under construction.
Would you take the mic with you, please?
As you know, the house is under construction. What we're going in for is this blue area here, which would have, of course, views to the ocean. This rendering shows how we're trying to kind of hide the deck into the house. People cannot be looking over the house. And I'll show you with photographs that I took from the third floor deck that the views will not be intrusive to anyone in the neighborhood.
When you say that, when you're standing out there looking out toward the ocean, you're not looking at the side of the neighbor's house?
That's correct. I mean, these are the photographs I shot from the third floor deck, and as you can see, there's your view. I mean, that's the $1 million view here. This is the adjacent house right here, which you can see there's no windows or anything on this side. And of course, the ocean view, and then this is the deck that had an approved third floor balcony.
Mark, you've actually set that deck back about
2'8", right.
into the roof line.
Right, so then, like I said, you will not be able to go like this and look over the side.
And in fact, it's a knee wall there as opposed to railing.
Yes, it'll be a 30-inch high wall with a handrail sitting on top.
Thank you very much. I have nothing further for Mr. Swag. Barrett's are here. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions from the board? Is anyone here from the public who would like to comment? You're going to oppose the deck? Public portion is closed.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Oh.
Excuse me. Mark, the third floor that's going up, what percentage of the floor below is that? On the button?
It's 50%.
Exactly 50%?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Turn your mic off. Close the public portion. Close the public portion. Any other comments or questions from the board? I'd like to hear a motion to approve the application as submitted.
I'll make a motion.
No conditions. Somebody make a motion? Second?
I'll second it.
Tom Collins?
As you look at third floor decks in relation to not being on the ocean and beachfront, they can become a major problem in the city. However, the way this is designed, I think that it's tucked in, it's small, it's more of a convenience for the homeowner. I really think that the negatives here aren't as great as they would be if it wasn't designed properly. So I vote in favor of it.
Clem Wasowski?
Generally speaking, I'm against third floor decks also, but this is so minimal, and the way it's tucked into the roof and its specific location, it has practically zero impact on anything else in the area. So I vote yes.
Mike Richmond?
Yeah, I don't see any detriment to the neighbors or to the neighborhood in general, so I'm going to vote yes.
Jim Galantino?
We're back to my third-story decks again, aren't we? On a beach block. I don't see any detriment to the neighborhood, and I approve this.
Mike Cristaldi,
I also approve. I think it looks good.
Craig Palmisano,
I'm also in favor of the third floor deck. It's a great observation post from there for a small bedroom. I vote yes.
David Carter,
I also don't see any detriment, and I vote yes.
Despina Hess,
I vote in favor of the application, quite frankly, for the exact reasons argued by Mr. Balansid. It's the minimally invasive design, right place, the right way, and I think it's beautiful.
Rich Patterson.
Well, I always wondered what the purpose was on not having the whole beach block allow third floor decks, and the only thing I could come up with, since I wasn't there at the time, was to keep the decks exactly like this one is. You could have if it was unlimited decks with no regulations, I guess they could be obnoxious. Unfortunately, that requires someone like this to have to come in and go through all this aggravation to get the approval of the deck, but that's the only reason I can see that they even make you come in for this. So I vote yes. I see no detriments to this whatsoever.
Motion passes 9-0.
Next case is 427 North Kenyon, Inc., 427 North Kenyon Avenue, Block 612.02, Lot 36, in the S40 District, to grant a C variance for front setback and possibly others. Taxes are current, and proof of advertising and notifying is satisfied. Mr. Rubin?
Roger Rubin. Yes, I do. The subject property is a vacant parcel of land at the southeast corner of Fulton and Kenyon Avenues with 50 feet of frontage on Kenyon and 59.5 feet along Fulton, having a total land area of 2,975 square feet. Prior to its very recent demolition, a rather old and dilapidated duplex structure sat on this land. The proposal herein, per the plan submitted by Arthur W. Ponzio and architect Scott Burnley, is to construct a 2.5-story single-family home with 5 bedrooms and front porches on Kenyon Avenue, first and second floor. Variance is required. First, front setback on Fulton to the house wall, 20.9 feet required versus 8 feet as designed. Second, porch setback on Fulton. The side of the porch, which actually faces Kenyon, also needs to have a 20.9-foot setback on Fulton, again versus 8 feet, to coincide with the wall. And number 3, front landscaping on Fulton, 38% versus 60% required. Comments. Previous to ordinance number 28 of 2014, the porch and wall setback would have been the default of 5 feet on Fulton. This may have been the expectation of the property owner, but unfortunately there was no application submitted prior to that ordinance's passage on July 17th to protect him under the time of application rule. B, the site visits will indicate if the variance, once granted, would have a detrimental impact on neighbors. C, the house on Jerome, whose wall at 20.9 feet back from Fulton established the requirement and thereby created the variance, sits on a lot which is twice the length of the subject lot. The subject lot, being only 50 feet on the Fulton frontage, may create a hardship by virtue of size and configuration of the land, rendering a possible hardship in the creation of a viable house with total compliance. And finally, in various respects, the proposed house betters the requirements of zoning. Combined side yards are 22.5 feet versus 18.5 required. Building coverage is only 28.4% compared to 40% allowed. Total lot landscaping is 52% as compared to 35% required, and front landscaping on Kenyon is 71.8 versus 60 required. No conditions are suggested at this time.
Before you start, just a question.
Sure.
The lots too small. Do they need a variance? They need
No.
4,000 square feet for the lot?
No, as long as, it's an existing lot with a minimum of 40 feet of frontage on either side, it's permitted to build.
In an S40?
In any zone. There's a section of the ordinance in non-conforming, which says regardless of the zone, if you are 40 foot of frontage, you can build, as long as you comply with the parameters of zoning.
Good evening, Eric Goldstein on behalf of the applicant, 427 North Kenyon Avenue, Inc. With me, John Barnhart, professional planner, Scott Burnley, he's the architect who designed the project. As it was noted earlier, this is an existing non-conforming lot. It does have a minimum of 40 feet of frontage on both Kenyon and on Fulton. As a preliminary matter, I had spoken to the neighbor on Jerome and Fulton. He called to ask a couple questions about the application, gave him all the information that we're presenting tonight. He said he had no objection, and he's a little bit elderly, so he is not here this evening, but and John Barnhart first to go through the various aspects of the plan and the various order questions. John has not.
John Barnhart. I do. Okay, as Mr. Goldstein mentioned, the property is known, let me just put up this other exhibit over here. The property is known as Block 612.02, lot number 36. It's an existing lot of record which has a frontage along Kenyon Avenue of 50 feet and a frontage along Fulton Avenue of 59.5 feet. Just to give you kind of an aerial overview of what exists at the property, or what formerly existed at the property, I'll just orient you quickly on this exhibit. Jerome Avenue, at this location, you can see the synagogue at the corner of Jerome and Fulton Avenue. The property in question is the corner lot, right on the corner of Fulton and North Kenyon Avenue. You can see the prior duplex that Mr. Rubin's report points out in this photograph. The lot, if you visited recently, you'll know that home, or that structure's already been demolished and the lot is now vacant. The proposal is to construct a 2.5-story single-family home, and as Mr. Rubin's report points out, if this home had made application for a building permit a few months ago, we actually wouldn't be here this evening. The resulting change in how the average front yard setback is established is what created the variance with this application. I'll just explain that very briefly, but you guys are very familiar with it. But because you have a property between Kenyon Avenue and Jerome Avenue, you only have 2 lots that front on Fulton Avenue. It's a short block. So the prior method of determining the front yard setback required on Fulton Avenue, you would throw out the high and the low. There would be no average left at that point. You would default to the minimum requirement in the zoning district. And because that is no longer how it is determined, we create an average front yard setback from one house. So, in my opinion, we truly have a scenario here where we have a couple things working against us that creates a true hardship variance. First, you have a house that happened to be developed with a large front yard setback off of Fulton Avenue. That house likely was done that way because their lot is twice the width of the lot that we are here before you speaking about this evening. So they have plenty of room to create a front yard setback off of Fulton Avenue that is almost 21 feet. Secondarily, and it goes to Chairman Patterson's comment, this is an undersized lot of record. So it's smaller in size. Developing it appropriately in current construction standards, it's going to need some deviations. So that's why we're here tonight. The request is for a front yard setback variance along Fulton Avenue, where the average requirement would be 20.9 feet because of that one house on the corner of Jerome, and we are proposing 8 feet. So we're in excess of the minimum requirement by 3 feet, but we are obviously well below our average requirement. Again, I go back to the hardship scenario, the size of this lot and the placement of that one house behind us are the two unique circumstances that are creating the variance that we're asking for this evening. So I think that this application can be granted based on a hardship. There is a secondary portion of that variance that Mr. Rubin's report points out with regard to the front porch. Technically, it is a second variance because it's a porch, and as you know, your ordinance deals with porch setback and building setbacks separately. But just so you can understand, the proposed front yard setback for both the porch and the home is set at 8 feet. And there's the last variance that's necessary is with regard to front yard landscape. Again, because the building is proposed to be well into what the front yard requirement would be on Fulton Avenue, as you can understand, the landscape coverage requirement in the front yard being 60% goes from the property line to the required front setback line. So essentially what you have is the building and the porch that we propose are within that area, so they then take up space that creates the variance. But what I want to point out to you is that for our 8-foot proposed front yard, assuming the variance is granted, we actually propose a front yard which is 100% landscape. So we need the deviation because of the setback of the building, but we're proposing that entire 8-foot to be a landscape strip. Some of the mitigating factors. First of all, as Mr. Rubin's report points out, and this is something you don't see very often in Margate, we are almost 12% below in building coverage. We're permitted a 40% building coverage. We're at approximately 28%. We have a 50% landscape coverage. Again, generally you see the minimums with new development, and we are well in excess of the minimums with regard to building and landscape coverage. So I think we could also argue the C2 type of variance here, where the benefits of this deviation outweigh the detriments. It was a duplex structure in a single-family zone. That has been removed. We're proposing a single-family house in a single-family zone that really, we believe, has no negative impact on the neighbors. And if you were to visit the site, you probably saw some very mature landscape on the adjacent lot, and I think approximately a 6-foot-high vinyl fence on the adjacent lot. So if you're concerned about view corridors or air, light, and open space along that front yard of Fulton Avenue, they're blocked at the point of the lot adjacent to us. So for all of those reasons, we think that there are very strong arguments to both C1 and
Thanks,
C2.
John.
That's it.
I know. No.
Scott Burnley's here to testify if the board has questions about the type of it. Okay. That being said, we'll close the application.
Any other questions from the board? Is anyone here from the public that would like to comment? The public portion is closed. What?
You would like a minute?
You got a situation here, with same thing we had on the building last month, and I mentioned to Arthur. The Fulton Avenue elevation, we got these high foundation walls now because of the flood elevations.
Okay.
So I asked Arthur, he'd run the higher bushes the whole length of that foundation wall to minimize the height effect.
More mature landscaping, or you mean higher type of bushes?
Well, continuous, you got them coming along and then a break and then...
Oh, yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, can we make that a condition?
Continuous foundation plantings along that wall.
Yeah. I have another question, I don't know whether it would be for you or for the architect, but where are you going to put your bicycles and your surfboards and your lawn equipment and your hedge cutters and your ladder?
That'd be a question for Scott.
Scott has not been sworn in, so the board wants to discuss this.
Scott Burnley. I do.
All right, Mr. Rosleski had a question, but I wasn't sure what it was.
We're going to put the bicycles in the surfboards, shed, whatever. You have to find closet space, so you have to find, area outside there. I mean, it's just not going to be, you don't have a lot of storage space in a beach house like this.
How about a shed?
You could do a shed, and they can come back to a shed for an accessory structure, a detached structure possibly, but right now that's not envisioned.
That existing shed's not on this property?
That's correct.
There's room for a shed there, isn't there, Clem?
Say again?
Isn't there room for a shed in the corner beyond the cars?
Yeah, you're allowed to put them on the line, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But they don't have to decide that now.
It's not a violation of their coverage. I mean, they have plenty of coverage to put a shed in, right?
The shed doesn't count for coverage. Anyhow.
Well, can we make that a condition, or stuff is going to be strewn around? It's a fact of life. People have stuff. Why not?
It's up to the board.
We can if we want, we just don't want to.
We're satisfied with the application as is.
Once again, is anyone here from the public? Public portion is closed. Any other discussion from the board?
Going to make a motion.
Do I hear a motion to approve the application as presented with a condition that the bushes are continuous along the Fulton Avenue side?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Tom Collins?
Unfortunately, in the last few months, we seem to be getting a lot of corner lots, and a lot of corner lots are a real pain in the butt to me, just in terms of you're getting two fronts, two of everything. I don't think that the owner, in this case, should be punished because it's a corner lot. The building that was there was dilapidated and pretty beaten, right sitting on the ground, which was a major flood violation. This is going to be a major improvement to the area. I see no negative impacts considering where it came from. I think this is just going to be a plus. I vote in favor.
Clem Osleski?
As Tom says, the corner lots are always a situation. This one's kind of unique because it's got that one adjacent property which is causing all the problems. It's just because of the peculiar lay of the land. I think as per Roger's paragraph D, the pluses far outweigh the minuses, so I vote yes. Although I'd still like to see a shed.
Mike Richmond?
Yeah, I really didn't see any detriment whatever to the neighborhood. And I appreciate the fact that they're not getting every inch of house that they could have gotten, so I'm going to vote yes.
Jim Galantino?
Case was well represented, good counsel. I can see no detriment or no negative impact for a corner lot, which would have been 2 months ago conforming underneath our average setback survey on front yard. So I approve this.
Mike Cristaldi?
I'm glad they didn't come back in with the 5-foot setback, which we've been okaying. This one I'm okay with. I vote yes.
Craig Palmisano?
I happen to agree with Tom Collins' assessment, and they've exceeded a lot of the requirements for zoning. I vote yes on this.
David Carter?
I agree with Tom's assessment, and it's a definite improvement. I vote yes.
Despina Hess?
I'm going to vote in favor of the application as well for the reasons already stated, and essentially the benefits certainly outweigh any potential detriment here, and I vote in favor.
Rich Patterson?
Well, I'd like to commend the developers for adding 3 feet to the setback they didn't have to do, for adding all the extra landscape area. I think they did a tremendous job here, and the variances are really meaningless. That we have this non-existent front yard, you have to meet 60% of, and you're meeting 100% of what's really there. So I vote yes.
The developers here, just want to say thank you as well.
Application passes
Thank you.
9-0.
Thank you. Any other business? Huh?
Just mention.
10 after 8. It's a record.
You win.
I said 8:14.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Barnhart would have, we haven't asked for that yet. Barnhart would have kept us going, I had to shut him up.
Here, I made it anyway.
How do you guys rest?
He's still here.
I figured out how to send you.
There being a quorum present, I call this meeting of the Margate City Planning Board to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom Collins.
Here.
Clem Wesleski. Mike Richmond. Jim Galantino. Brenda Taube. Margaret Gubernalty. Mike Cristaldi. Craig Palmisano. David Carter. Despina Hess. Remy Pelosi. Joe DiGirolamo. Rich Patterson.
Here. This meeting is being held in accordance with due public notice thereof and pursuant to the New Jersey State Sunshine Law. Notice of this meeting was advertised in the press, and a copy of same has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. All applicants are hereby advised that should you receive board approval tonight, you must come forward and sign a form which informs you regarding the timing of receiving building permits and mercantile licenses. At the end of your case tonight, please see the board administrator to sign the two information sheets. I'd like to hear a motion for the approval of the minutes of August 28, 2014. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to hear a motion for the approval of the resolutions and decisions. Number 39, 2014, Dominic and Tammy Pastor. Number 40, 2014, Stan and Nancy Metter.
Make a motion. I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. First case is Lucy Zhang, 9400 Ventnor Avenue, Block 128, Lot 83, in the CBD District to grant a site plan action. Taxes are current and proof of advertising and notifying is satisfied. Mr. Rubin?
Roger Rubin? Yes, I do. The subject property is a two-story building containing about 800 square feet of commercial space on the first floor front and two condominium residences in the rear and second floor, a one-bedroom and a two-bedroom apartment. The overall parcel on the corner of Ventnor and Adams Avenue is 45 by 65 feet, or 2,925 square feet. The subject of this application is the commercial area, which was previously and for many years a series of real estate offices, which has been vacant now for a while. Within this space, the applicant wishes to operate a massage salon consisting of 3 treatment rooms and a reception waiting room in front per the submitted floor plan. The only internal change will be partitions and electrical other than cosmetics such as painting, carpeting, etc. Ms. Zhang has submitted a copy of her state of New Jersey license as a massage and bodywork therapist. The business plan submitted includes services such as full body massage, reflexology, and facials, and products such as moisturizers and skin conditioners. Hours of operation will be 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. throughout the year. Action required, site plan action per ordinance at section 175-14, which specifies site plan action for all actions that qualify as change in use. The staff committee determines if a proposed new commercial activity is in fact a change in use, and if so, forwards it to the planning board, which is the case herein. Real estate office use, changing to massage therapy business, should be acted upon